What's up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of SE and Scrappy. Lucas Da Silva running around like a chicken with his head cut off all weekend long. Before we get to the DonFather Duals, actually, let me ask you just real quick. All right. Had some teams in, some good teams. Man, I'll tell you what, some of the girls' teams were lights out. It was fun to watch them in freestyle. Some really good individual matchups. General overview. What a couple of words just to give me an idea of how the event went.
I would say it was a net success for everyone involved. Got everyone some real good mat time, some awesome matches in every dual meet, and again, shout out to Lumpkin County High School for coming in on really, really short notice, giving us an awesome facility to use for the weekend. I could not be more thankful to them, and hopefully we'll be able to use them in this upcoming season for the event as well.
All right, we're going to talk about it in a little bit greater detail than that further on in the show, but let's start with this past week. We had the Tricia Saunders and Dave Schultz High School Excellent Award winners for the Southeast. Obviously, the Southeast is much greater than just the states we cover, but we're going to talk about the states we cover. And just so everybody knows, every state awards an award winner, and then it goes to a Southeast region award winner, and then the regions all compete against one another for the national award. And I think this will actually drop right when they're dropping who wins the Southeast. So maybe you could tell me who you think is going to win the Southeast for each of these.
We can do that.
All right. So let's start with the girls. The Tricia Saunders Award winners for this year in the state of Alabama at Daphne High School, Emily Smith. For Lake Gibson, in Florida, from Lake Gibson, Gabby Tedesco. In Georgia, Kennesaw Mountains, Genevieve On. St. Martin in Mississippi, Kaylee Savage. That's got to be a really good wrestling name, right?
That's
Kaylee
awesome.
Savage, yeah. In North Carolina at Lake Norman, Kaylee Sudreth. And South Carolina for Woodruff High School, June Welch. And your award winner in the state of Tennessee from Hardin Valley, Ella Murphy. As a whole, just so everybody knows, it's not just your wrestling accolades. You know what I mean? Academics play a role, and volunteering and things play a role as well. What do you have to say about the Tricia Saunders Award winners?
I mean, first off, an elite list of names there, not only in wrestling, but as people. I mean, we both know a lot of those girls as people. Yeah. All are fantastic individuals. Couldn't think of a better group to each win that award for their respective states. Happy for all of them.
Yep.
If I had to put a name on it and a guess of who I think would win the Southeast, I'm going to exclude Genevieve On because of how deep my personal ties to Genevieve go. That's a great, great friend of mine and an amazing person. If I couldn't pick her, I would say either Gabby Tedesco or Ella Murphy. But again, any of those seven could win it, and it makes a whole bunch of sense.
Yeah. Well, and there's a couple of things I think you have to keep in mind, right? Genevieve is a 3-time state champ in the state of Georgia. She's super smart, right? I mean, as far as academics
Ridiculous.
go, I'm sure that's
league smart for those who don't know.
Right. I'm sure that's the case with a lot of others on the list. I don't know their backgrounds nearly as well.
I know Gabby for a fact is like same type of smart. She made a comment to me about her GPA at Fargo. I won't blurt it out, but I was like, I didn't even know it went that high.
You're like, hey, mine's less than half that.
Yeah, it might have been. It was close. It was close. I had to think about it. I was like, wait a minute. He might be right. And I don't like that he's right.
All right. So congratulations to them. And we'll obviously put a lot of stuff out this coming week for whoever gets announced as the award winner for the Southeast. Flipping over to Dave Schultz award winners. Why don't you tell me the list?
Here, Dave Schultz winners within the Southeast. You had Cole Carter out of Jasper, Alabama, Sawyer Bartelt out of South Dade, From the state of Georgia, it was Flowery Branch's own Seth Larson. Gabriel Shanks out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. Great pick there for that state. Ham Stinson Jr. for North Carolina. South Carolina, it was J.J. Peace. And for Tennessee, it was Cleveland's own Logan Fowler. Again, a great selection of 7 for the winners there.
Right. And again, one of those situations where Fowler's going to the Air Force Academy. I'm not sure. I mean, in terms of accolades, Sawyer Bartelt's been a world team member. Cam Stinson finished his high school career undefeated as a 4-time state champ in North Carolina. I mean, we go down the list. I don't know how you pick between them to pick one.
It is really tough.
Seth Larson won 4, right?
Again, I was about to say, I'm going to exclude Seth again because of the friendship there. I don't want to, but again, he's a great candidate. And if he wins it, he's fully deserving of it. You know, academics wise, you do probably give the nod to Logan Fowler, who's going with not like he's going to the Air Force Academy with certain levels, a certain level of a nod to him just because of his academic performances as well. I believe in I don't know the name of the military testing. I could be entirely losing my mind, but I do believe he's going there with a certain level of cachet. Again, I'm also losing my mind, gentlemen. Bear with me. I'm half dead. But again, Sawyer Bartelt, world team member, Cam Stinson, that really could go any way, and they are very deserving and a great winner of that award.
I agree. Do you want to take a blind shot of who might win it? You think it's Fowler?
Logan Fowler. I don't know what they typically use as their
name. How do they weight it, right? I mean,
but I'm gonna go Fowler. I could very well see Bartelt as well. If I had to give you a runner-up, I could see it being those two regardless. But again, you Camp Stinson, JJ Peace has an obvious argument there, as well as Cole Carter and a guy like Gabe Shanks. Because I know Gabe Shanks from speaking to the coaches at Ocean Springs, he's ridiculously smart too. So I don't know.
Yep. All right. So, you know what? Congratulations to all of them on winning their awards and everything else. We flip to the big event of the weekend. And I mean, the biggest event actually happened in Lumpkin County, but a big event.
The biggest event outside of Lumpkin County, Georgia, obviously.
Occurred in Vegas with the U.S. Open. And I'll tell you what, there were some outstanding individual accomplishments out there, some outstanding wrestling. If you were just to, I don't know, narrow it down to a handful of things of kind of things that you noticed, what are some of the things that you noticed?
Well, what I will say before I get talking is obviously I did not have the opportunity to focus on or watch as much of the U.S. Open as I would like to have. Running around is a thing. Whoever told me tournament running was easy was a liar. Lied to me.
Who told you that?
Nate Etheridge. Anyways,
oh, he's you know why? Because he got to sit in the stands and just watch.
But what I noticed first off, shout out a dude that I have a long friendship with, Nate Askew, brother. Yep. Shout out him. He did the thing in every possible way. And then as well, shout out to Levy and Mako. That getting to see that matchup is one that people talked about. It's like, oh, what would happen? Obviously, Mako came out on top in that one. But Jason, why don't you do the same and give me a few and give me maybe 3 or 4 for the people that didn't get a chance to watch this weekend.
Yeah. So okay. So I think that first thing you need to know is Askew, I think, beat Stifler 2-2 on criteria earlier in the tournament and ended up winning U17. But a tip of the cap to both of them, because both of them not only made the podium in freestyle with Askew winning it in freestyle, but both of them made it in Greco as well. They both made the podium in Greco as well, which is outstanding. Not a lot of people actually made the podium in both styles. So I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, you already mentioned Mako and Levy. If you didn't watch that match, man, and did you see on Flow Wrestling the highlight of Levy 5-ing something?
That's not fair. That's not fair.
I mean, you're 5 and some kid on at a heavyweight. I mean, we're not talking like small dudes. I mean, that was impressive. A couple other things I think that stood out, and there were a lot of kids who made the podium that I think we're not going to mention, and that's a shame because this could take a long time if we spent all that time. Corey Land came back from knee surgery. To win Greco and to take 4th in freestyle at U20s. Corey was beating Cale Hughes 10-2. And Hughes came back and beat him 11-10.
Yeah, I think I heard about that or saw that. I can't remember.
And Hughes ends up winning the weight class. Drew Gorman ends up placing in a stacked weight. You had Patrick Brophy, who I think is a freshman at the Citadel, who made the podium in Greco or freestyle. I think he made it in freestyle. Van Hoke made the Brendan Van Hoke was in the finals in Greco. Shout out to Colson Hoffman, who made the podium in Greco as well. High school kid from the state of Georgia making U20 podium. And then you had, a lot of others. I mean, Kason Howell out of South Carolina, I think he made the podium in both freestyle and Greco as well. So you had some great runs, man. I mean, it was some really, really good wrestling that happened out in Vegas. And you know what? So I almost made a mistake. Right. The girls, Claire Bowie won it, the women's showcase. Estrada took second. Ella Murphy, who we just talked about because of the Tricia Saunders Award, she took second. Milana Borelli, Catherine Stewart. So the women also had a really good showing out there as well. And Araya Mills, he took second to Keegan Bassett. Woo! Wow. All right. So that is the U.S. Open kind of rundown. Did I miss anybody off the top of your head?
Not that I know. But again, we're gonna miss people, and I'm for sure gonna be missing somebody.
You know who we missed? We missed Ryder Wilder. Ryder Wilder placed in both styles as well in U17, and he got Sherlock, I think, in the first round or the second round in Greco, and came all the way back to take 3rd or 4th. He took 3rd.
I think 3rd.
And he took 3rd in Greco and he took 4th, I think, in freestyle. So anyway, if you get a chance and you have a subscription to Flow Wrestling, you can go watch some of those matches. Definitely want to watch Mako versus Levy. That would be one that we were all talking about on Sunday afternoon while we were sitting at the DonFather Duals.
At the biggest event of the week. And by the way, someone said this to me. That's not a shot at Poseidon, me saying that my event's the biggest event of that weekend. Like, if you think that, go argue with your nearest wall.
Who said that?
I'm not going to say his name, but he texted me like, hey, I don't think that's respectful to say that when Poseidon's run. Like, man, I don't care. How about that?
You know what? I don't care. Poseidon's great. Like, and that's fine. You know what? I'm glad there are a lot of opportunities out there to wrestle. Absolutely. And all those different things. So, let's be honest, right? Kai Oreen is doing a camp up in North Carolina. You have the event in Georgia. Poseidon's happening down in Florida. You've got all these different things happening. I mean, come on, like, travel back in time with me 20 years ago. You didn't have nearly the options that you have today.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about DonFather Duals. I think you guys beat Assassins and the boys
Yep, boys
in the
assassins,
finals.
boys finals, us and assassins.
Um, but one of the really good duels that I watched was you guys against what, Palmetto?
Palmetto State, that was a fun duel. The score wouldn't show you that it was a good duel, but we won like 5 or 6 nail biter matches. We just happened to get them to all go our way. Like Mayholtz and Papkin to me was match of the night. Mayholtz goes up 1 with less than a minute with a takedown, and Brian catches him and sticks him. But it was a great match with a whole bunch of fantastic wrestling between both of them in it. Parts in that match where I just sat back and was a fan. I couldn't even coach. I was just watching.
Don't let him fool you. He was totally yelling at people the entire time.
Probably the whole time, which I will also say. Part number one, I'm going to say point number 1 for me was, man, this event was trippy for me. And this is what I mean. There was a moment where a lot of people don't know this, but Robert Klein is like my wrestling father. When it came to the sport of wrestling in Georgia, he's the first guy that really wanted me in his club and took me in and did a lot of things to help me, not only as a wrestler, as a man. No one ever gives Robert Klein enough credit. There was a moment during a match, and I'll explain the match as it happened. I looked at my assistant coach for the event, which was his nephew, Emery Klein, and I said, this is the trippiest moment in my coaching career. I got Robert Klein's nephew as my head assistant coach. Evan Burkett, who refed me when I was at Peachtree Ridge at 9 years old at a tournament. And on the mat.
Evan's that old?
Yeah, I was like 9 and he was refing me.
Okay.
Wait, no, it gets better. And Loudon Etheridge is on the mat, who's the son of my high school head coach my junior and senior year. It was the trippiest moment of my life. I was like, this is weird. This feels like a fever dream. I don't get how this is the moment. So that's my point number 1. Point number 2, I'm going to give a shout out to the house teams. For those who don't know, I had a lot of people and teams no call, no show me. A lot of them paid
what
too,
is up with that?
Which, hey, I don't know. Thank you for your donation to Fat and Scrappy if you know paid, no showed. Thank you. At any rate, I pulled together, I think, like 9 or 10 boys and 7 or 8 girls, and they came together and scrapped it up. And I cannot thank them enough, not only for doing that, but it shows a whole lot of character in each of them that they said, hey, we're going to go get some mat time. It doesn't matter who, when, what the team is. We're going to go scrap. And just know if a college coach ever asks me about any of those kids, they're going to get a glowing review because of that. They came with their big boy or big girl pants on and wanted to get some smoke. And a lot of them wrestled their heads off. Kevin Heath, some good wins for himself that weekend. So shout out to him. That's my second point.
Okay.
Point number 3. Man, Cleveland's really good. Man, they're really good. And they didn't even have Piper in the lineup. So in all honesty, when I brought Cleveland in, I knew, okay, this now immediately makes this a dogfight. And shout out, and by the way, Ground Zero as well.
Yeah,
When
Ground
they
Zero
wrestled
wrestled
in-
well. Yeah.
They wrestled in pool play. Ground Zero beat them. And I was like, oh, and we had beat Ground Zero in the morning. So we had a 3-way tie for first and did the little mini round robin.
This is on the girl side for anybody.
On the girl side. Yeah. On the girl side. Right. Cleveland, man, their girls team showed out and were lights out up top to bottom. Shout out Boskin. They're incredible. Riley Sturgill is insane. Hilton is a monster. Von Lowe, super tough. Lewandowski, who we actually knocked off with Greta Garbazovas. Just an incredible team that he put together, as per usual. What I should have expected out of them.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
Point number 4, he kind of touched on it already, but match of the night for me was Papkin and Mayholtz. Those two, it was a 5 minutes and 19 seconds of a war. Like, and guys, and 2 kids have wrestled each other before and know each other really well. I think not only I think you might have filmed that match. I think also, or did you take pictures of that match?
I took pictures of that match. I don't think I filmed it.
I think Papkin's grandma filmed that match. I'm going to try to get that film from her so I can post it. That match, you need to go out of your way to see if you can. Obviously, if I post it, that was a really good match. There was another really good match that I'm losing my mind on that I watched. It might have been Ground Zero and Palmetto. There was a really good one up top. I've been JT Spence and some, but I can't remember. But just match of the night for me would be May Holtz and Papkin. Those two lit it up.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah. You got one more?
Point.
Okay.
Last point, and this is a really funny one. The night before the tournament, one of the coaches texted me and said, "Hey, and we use the new high school rules." And I said, "I'll bring it up at the coaches meeting and see what is said." And everyone was positive. We went with the new high school rules, and man, it was super interesting, really fun. And let me tell you something, it changes the way you have to look at wrestling math. Let me explain. Mayholt and Papkin, this is the exact scenario. Papkin was up 3 going into the third. Mayholt chose bottom. Ryan looked at me and went neutral. I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yes, I can take him down, coach." Well, he lied to me. Mayholtz took him down, which put us down 1, where usually, okay, it was 2.
Right. It's tied, and then you can get an escape and win.
That's whatever. But no, we were down 1, and I had to look at Brian when they went about this. "Hey, you put yourself in this situation. Now figure it out." Like, it changes the way you have to look at math in matches. And I think it's great for wrestling. I will say, unless refs call more stalling on bottom, I think it's bad for wrestling. Because I think it then almost eliminates the bottom game.
All right. And on that note, probably the biggest, off the mat thing that occurred this week were the new rule changes. And I posted them on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll tell you what, I didn't capture the Facebook ones, but they were funny as well. But I'll tell
there
you,
were some funny ones.
but I captured the ones on Instagram, and they were great. And
Of course, it was Richie Clementi that said 4 count is my friend. Of course it was.
Of course it was, right? So we start with we start with like a green, the green face, like being sick. What would you be sick about? Are you sick? Like, is that sick? Like, how do I take that?
I think that's a negative.
That's a negative. All right. About time, obviously. Somebody's very happy about it. Finally, it happens at high school is going to be crazy. Do you believe that? Is it going to get weird?
I think it will be weird at first if people aren't kind of ready to adjust and train adjusting to this.
All right. Next person says ruining the sport for real. I disagree with that.
I disagree. Again, I think that there are some possible negatives. Like I said, I think they need to call stalling more on the bottom and top guy then. I think we need to see more stalling then. Because what's going to happen is if you get a takedown, it's okay. I got to take it down anyways, and there's no point working on bottom.
So Clementi did say 4 count is my friend. Do you like the 4 count for near fall?
I actually love the system. I do. I love it.
I agree. I
think 2, 3, 4 is great.
I agree with that. And you know what? And the one thing I would say as it relates to this is for the average person who doesn't understand wrestling, it now makes sense.
Agreed entirely. No, I completely agree.
Right. So you do 2, you get 2 points. You do 3, you get 3 points.
Can we please get an aggressive push out instead of the 1 point of contact? I know that I'm going to keep harping on it. That's the one thing I want is just, but continue on. I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna go there. That's a whole different discussion.
So the one thing that I thought was interesting and on the Facebook side of things was the 1 point of contact being an issue in small gyms and not having enough room and all these sorts of things. I agree
entirely. That's my thing.
It could get dicey. Like, I mean, let's be honest.
I don't like that we said that at the same time, but yes.
Probably the thing that most people paid attention to is 3, right? And you mentioned it as you were talking. Oh yeah, I know it's 3. It's not 3. All right. But you know what? I was totally messed up at your event because we had freestyle going on upstairs. We had folk style going on downstairs. We're throwing 3s up top. We're throwing 3s down below. Ooh, okay. But I thought the 3-point takedown actually worked pretty well in college this year.
I think the 3-point takedown works fine. I just don't like that reversals are now less important. I will say this: 3-point reversal. Anyone? I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Well,
I'm
that's
I'm
actually a
just going
good
to
point.
throw that out there.
So Mike Cipriano, who I didn't pull his actually he didn't put it in his story. He just put it in a comment. But he says if you get control, you get 3 points. So when you reverse and you get control, why wouldn't
Yes,
it be 3
that's my
points as
exact
well?
point. That's my exact point. And again, it incentivizes wrestling on bottom, which I feel like needs to be the key. So every rule change at this point needs to be incentivizing wrestling and not stalling and being complacent.
So this one
What
comes
is it?
up and it says this is gonna, 1, create a lot of headaches, 2, speed up matches, and 3, make wrestlers work freestyle and Greco for faster transitions. Do you agree with that?
Yes and no. So create a lot of headaches. I will say, if you're not the sharpest tool in the shed as an official and you get to a weird scramble and the table workers get behind, where an elite official like an Evan, like a Mark, like an Ari or Dave or Buck is going to be able to keep it in their head of, okay, we had 2 red, he got 3 backs, and then reversal. If you have a new or less experienced ref, it could cause some problems. So I actually agree with them there. Speed up matches, yes, because obviously, in theory, less times going out of bounds. I will say on the folk style side, I did notice that matches felt quicker, except like blood and all that jazz. Freestyle transitions, not really. I don't think it changes that much.
Okay. Um, so I think one of the unintended consequences, and this is actually a positive, and I do think that this was actually mentioned in Facebook side. I don't remember where it was, but they were actually negative about it because they thought it was going to be text quicker, and I agree with that. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. I mean, I I
Same one. Like that's the
I mean, if you're looking to get mat time and you're getting wax 15-0, maybe you need to be working at a different tournament to get mat time.
I kind of agree with you there. Yeah, like to an extent.
So anyway, everybody's got their opinion. Overall, um, you guys implemented it this past weekend. I thought it went pretty well. We've seen it implemented in other places as well. I, I'm kind of a fan.
I I'm a fan. I want to see the 3-point reversal. Because here's the other thing. If you're on bottom now, I, as a guy who loves bottom wrestling, why should I risk only getting 1 or 2 points when if you catch me in something, I'm giving up 4 now?
Okay. You know what?
That's
As somebody who
that,
was not as good on their feet and was much more of a mat wrestler, I'm in favor of it. But and I actually I like Cipriano's argument in that it's a change of control, and if we're establishing control gives you 3 points, then I'm all in. I mean that just makes logical sense to me. So
agree.
yeah, all right. Um, so that is it for this week's show. Congratulations on a good DonFather Duals.
Yes, sir. Thank
Um,
you.
I do want to point out to everybody, I've been doing a thing with Dan Ward a little bit, and the reason I did that is because we're trying to keep our conversations, except when we're doing previews of the state tournament, to
Yeah,
about
obviously.
30 minutes. And it's hard to cover the entire Southeast when you're doing that, especially, Florida's got a lot going on as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about when I talked to him about the Poseidon duels. So don't
Which makes sense.
no need to hate on Scrappy because he would have to look that up and all those sorts of things. He focused on DonFather Duals. So if you're interested in that, flip over and you can go over and look at the Poseidon duels and what we think about what happened there. Anything else? Parting shots as we finish up?
Not particularly. Anything from you, Jason?
Nope. I thought that I think the thing that I want to end with is I thought the U20s in the Southeast wrestled pretty well. I thought the U17s, especially the Georgia kids in U17 freestyle, wrestled really, really well. The U15s, I'm not 100% sure. We didn't have nearly the showing that I would like to have seen, although we didn't have certain kids out there either. So
yeah,
I mean, there was no Cody Clark didn't go out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are kind of the things that I'm kind of thinking about as we kind of transition to, the summer and freestyle and everything else.